Welcome back to my Monday musings. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about, because I don't think I've actually spoken about this, the left-hand path versus the right-hand path. And also I want to try and fit in the stuff about the klipot. Okay, so this actually won't really take very long actually. I did speak about this in the last Covenstead live at the beginning of this month, because somebody asked about something and I thought I'd just do it there, but not everybody watches that, so I'm repeating it. So the left-hand path and the right-hand path. Now I'm assuming a lot of people that come to this channel and watch me and listen to what I talk about would put me on the left-hand path. I am not a left-hand path practitioner. Sorry to disappoint everybody. I do not practice left-hand path. Having said that, you are now probably thinking that I am a right-hand path practitioner. No, I am not a right-hand path practitioner either. So now, I don't know if you're confused or not, but let's explain it. Okay, let's first have a look at the left-hand path and right-hand path. So I have heard so many different interpretations of what the left-hand path and the right-hand path is, what is practiced on it, what the practitioner actually believes, and there's so many of them, but I think the one commonality with all of the explanations is that they are opposed. They are moving in opposite directions, and we often hear the war against the right-hand path, the war that's coming. And what amuses me with a lot of this is that a lot of people on the left-hand path are still following a Christian worldview. There's talk about the armies of hell coming through. They are opening the gates to bring the armies of hell and the infernal into this world so that we can fight the right-hand path. Actually, talking about the armies of hell and things like that, you're following a Christian worldview. Sorry to say, it's just the way it is. So we have the left-hand path and the right-hand path, but they're always opposed. They're always going in opposite directions. We hear mention of the right-hand path being more focused on the external, on external forces, gods and goddesses, and trying to reach at the level of attainment or enlightenment beyond the physical, moving into the spiritual. Whereas the left-hand path is more carnal-based, material-based. We are moving within, we are becoming the gods ourselves. And therefore moving away from this idea of this external deity. The difficulty I have with all of that, and over the past 30 years, I've considered myself to be a right-hand path practitioner and a left-hand path practitioner, and it's gone backwards and forwards throughout my entire journey, until I finally got to the point where I realized there is no difference between these. So we have this external power or force, but we are also that power or force. So we are, although we have this God, this deity, this, I don't want to call it a God, because then it kind of puts this, in our minds, it kind of puts this personality to it, this, and it becomes a masculine or a feminine thing, and it's nothing of the sort. It doesn't have a personality, it's just a force. It is a thing. It's an it. And we are it. All of us are it. But, that's my belief. So my belief doesn't have to be everybody's belief, obviously. But I would like to challenge you to actually think about these things and make up your own mind. You don't have to believe anything I say. I really insist in not believing anything I say. Just make up your own mind, do your own examinations, do your own studying, do your own meditations on these things, and come to your own conclusions. But if we look at it from that perspective of my belief, is that we are it is us, we are all it. So therefore we cannot separate ourselves from this external deity or force, because we are already it. It is also within us. And if we move within us, if we move through our own system, the microcosm which reflects the macrocosm, then we are moving through all of the various worlds and the emanations of creation and destruction. So to me, there is no left-hand path and right-hand path. That may also make you think that I am following what people call the middle path. I don't really like to use that term either, because the middle path, we talk about the left-hand path and the right-hand path, and we have the middle path. And when we're doing this, we're thinking that they're all straight. There is no straight path. I don't think there is a straight path within anybody's journey on spirituality. Probably is, but to my own understanding, what we have is a crooked path. I like to call it the serpentine path. And there's an old phrase from the Qlippothic, which is an old Egyptian initiation ceremony. They ask, and this was obviously adopted through various different orders and traditions and such like that. They ask the priest that is coming for initiation how they got there, and they answer something, just paraphrasing, something to the effect of, I walked on the back of the serpent. Behind me the serpent coils, and before me it twists and undulates, and I walk on the back of the serpent, which is straight and true. So there's a lot we can take out of that, a lot we can do meditations on, and this is very much the basis of the Temple of the Horned Serpent, which I'm busy creating. But this is the crooked path, it's the serpentine path. So if you look at a serpentine path, a crooked path, it goes left and right. It doesn't have a straight, it's not straight, it's crooked. It goes left and right, and it moves like a serpent does, winding, undulating. So it's going to take you on various experiences in all directions, not just in the left-hand path, and therefore we need to reject the right-hand path, or the right-hand path, and therefore we need to reject the left-hand path. It takes you on all of these experiences, and we need all of these experiences in order to grow, in order to create our own worldview solidly, I think, in order to bring ourselves into balance, into equilibrium, into union with everything, into union with that divinity, which is also ourselves, and etc., etc., etc. Now, what I also want to mention is where this idea of the left-hand path and right-hand path within the Western magic actually came from. And it's from the Eastern Tantric practices. We have the Vamachara and the Dakshinachara. They're both Tantric practices, but the Vamachara is called or translates to the left-hand path, and the Dakshinachara translates to the right-hand path. Now, both of these paths are heading in exactly the same direction. They're not trying to move in opposite directions like we seem to have adopted in the Western ideologies. They are both heading in the same direction. The only difference is they are taking two different roads to get there. It's two different ways. So Vamachara is very much your external active type of practices, and it's also opposed to the status quo, whereas the Dakshinachara is your more passive type of practices, which is more in line with the status quo. Okay, so I think this idea of aligning or opposing the status quo is what kind of originally bringing that into Western ideologies. So we kind of had this whole thing of the going with or against the status quo coming into the Western ideologies, which then became this rejection of one path for the other path, because one's going against the status quo and one's with the status quo. Therefore, it's a rejection or an acceptance, which I think kind of brought people to this idea that we have to separate from each other, and therefore the goal that we're going for has to be separate. So this idea of an external deity we need to move away from. We need to, whereas the right-hand path is trying to move away from the material, the left-hand path is trying to move away from the spiritual, this external spiritual aspect. But you know, within the tantric practices, they're both aiming for the same goal. They're just taking different roads to get there. And this is where things, I think, got a bit screwed up and complicated. Alright, so that's my explanation of left-hand path and right-hand path and the crooked path, etc. Now, this idea of the klipot, and anybody on the left-hand path who swears by the idea that you have to go into the tunnels of Set and follow the Tree of Death and all such things is going to find my ideas a bit controversial. There's definitely opposed to what people on the left-hand path are talking about. Definitely opposed. So the klipot, the Qlipha. The Qlipha are shells. It translates to shells or husks. Okay, so if you think of a shell, damn it, I forgot to bring. Oh, sorry, I was going to get an orange for this. I don't think we've got any left anyway. So imagine I've got an orange in my hand. Okay, so it's got a skin, which is the shell, the husk that is enveloping the contents within the orange itself that you're going to eat. You don't want to eat the orange peel. It's kind of icky. Some people do. You can carry on if you want to. I'm not going to eat the orange peel. Yeah. All right, but what I want to do is I want to get to the fruit inside the actual whole thing. So what I need to do is I need to remove the orange peel. I need to remove the shell or the husk in order to get to that juicy bit. So when we're talking about the Qlipha, this is the husk or the shell that surrounds the sephira. Okay, the juicy bit within. This is what Buddhists and Eastern practitioners call Maya. It is illusion. In order to get to the juicy bit within, you've got to remove the illusion. The illusion is the construct. It is this physical aspect. I mean, it doesn't mean that we have to remove ourselves from it. We have to also immerse ourselves in it in order to remove it. We have to understand it. We have to understand what it is. We can't just reject it outright. So we have to remove this illusion. And the removing of the illusion is being aware of the illusion. And then once you're aware of the illusion, you can move past it. You can move beyond it. Okay? But what's happening with all of these people following this Qlippothic tree, the tree of death, because it's so opposed to the tree of life, which is the Kabbalistic tree, the Etz Chaim, it has to be separated. And again, this is the idea of left-hand path and the right-hand path type of thing. Separate from the right-hand path, because this is kind of the good, whereas we're trying to get this edgy, evil type of thing. So therefore we remove it and it becomes the tree of death. And over the years, again, this has developed further and further and further. Kenneth Grant came up with the idea of the tunnels of Set, and he also called this Universe B. And at that point, if I remember correctly, it was kind of like we viewed Da'at, the invisible Sephira, which is knowledge, and Da'at as the common point. And we would move between the trees through Da'at, and it was associated with the twins being Christ and Lucifer, all such things. But then it became the roots of the tree. If you really look into not just Kabbalah, also Tantric practice with the chakra system, the tree is already upside down. It's upright, and it's inverted. It's already there. It's not any different, okay? If you really look into it, you will find that we already have all of these aspects within what has been spoken about. So we do not need to separate these trees and have the tree of life and the tree of death. We do not need to follow, if we're going to follow the Qlipha, we are following the illusion. We are immersing ourselves in the illusion. and we are not therefore extending into the fruit of the juicy bit of the fruit. We are just staying in the shell, in the husk, in the orange peel. Okay. As I said, this is going to be completely opposed to and controversial to what most people following this idea of the klipot and the Tree of Death are going to be talking about. It's just that it's becoming more and more entwined within our own Western magic. For me, it's a bit of a problem. You know, as I said, everybody's different. Everybody's going to have their own worldview. Everybody's going to follow their own path, and I completely and utterly support that. But if I see an issue, a problem, I think it's an issue or problem, I'm going to speak about it. And if you disagree with me, absolutely perfectly fine. I really don't have any problem with that. You can carry on following your own path and such things. But what I do want to do is just bring awareness to people who may want to actually go off and meditate about this idea and think about it, and maybe they come to the same conclusion, maybe they don't. That's perfectly fine. But you know, we just got to make up our own minds at the end of the day, and that's my findings on this whole ideology. Okay. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll let you decide for yourself. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Cheers for now. Bye bye.